Okay. Welcome everyone. Well, I was trying to do a Facebook Live remote and I'm not a tech guru, so I'm working through it. So instead, I'm bringing you my Wantrepreneur Wednesday via Zoom. So hopefully you can catch my Zoom here. I've got a very, very special guest on today. As you know, the last couple of weeks, I've started a mini series called Wantrepreneur Wednesday. And the whole intention behind it is to highlight, interview entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs who are out there killing it with their businesses, right? People who are in a service-based business or bricks and mortar or direct sales, whatever type of business it is. I want to bring those entrepreneurs to you because hopefully you will get inspired. I get so inspired just talking to each of them and knowing their history and what they've done. And I hope that inspires you so that if you have that little voice that's telling you, maybe could be a next step for me investigating on the idea of having a business, you'll get some raw and real answers here. And hopefully it'll inspire you to make a decision into the next chapter of you. So I am super excited to bring to you today my sister, Nancy Angelopoulos Fanelli, who she has been a very inspiring entrepreneur to me. She is an artist by school and also professionally. She worked in the professional field as a graphic designer, and she jumped in to owning her own business that was not related to art, but she's brought her creative, artistic persona into her business. And it's a dynamic coffee shop that she's had for the last 18 years. She's survived all of the things that a little independent coffee shop has to survive, as far as like Starbucks opening across the street and, bad economy and all that. And so I want to introduce to you Nancy Angelopoulos Fanelli, and hopefully you can see her here on the screen. Hi, Nance.
Hi. Can you see me?
I'm hoping that, there we go. Yay!
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Should I be seeing a split screen? Because I don't.
I see a split screen, so
okay.
I think that's all that matters. So I want you to share with the audience what, your story. Like, how did you go from being this graphic designer to a coffee shop owner? Like, how did that happen? And just tell us your journey.
Do you want the short or the long?
Whatever you'd like to give us.
Okay. So
now that we're on Zoom, we have a little bit of time.
All right. So the short is I was in my 20s and I was in need of a change and I decided to open a coffee house. And in long, which I'm going to try to not delve into this too deep, but I was in my 20s. I was dating a guy for a few years. That ended abruptly. I was in advertising. I had a good job, decent job. And I decided to take a 5-week sabbatical, so to speak, and go backpacking with a really close girlfriend of mine. And back then, it's funny because I was really thinking about this question. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I opened a coffee house. I needed a change. And I found my travel journal, which is funny because they always say that, journaling's so good for you. And honestly, I never journal now, but it was interesting reading through that because I realized that I was so extremely codependent on my relationship in my 20s that I needed a significant change and I needed to do something to make myself feel worthy, I guess. So on that trip, we were on a boat going from one island to the other. And we were talking and I was like, you know what? There's a building up for sale. I think I'm gonna open a coffee house. And she was like, you know what? I think I'm going to open a salon. And I'm like, when we get back, we should do it. We should just, And it's funny because I think of that conversation, but I never think of what brought me to that conversation, which is the journaling thing. Maybe I should start journaling again. So anyway, I got back and I put a bid on the building. I bought the building and I started my adventure of building out the space and opening a coffee house. But the truth of the matter is in your 20s, everything's devastating. And I was devastated. I had my head in the sand for a really long, long time. And I thought it was the end of the world. And I was so depressed. And when I look back at it, I think that I was just so codependent, and it kind of grosses me out to think I was that way back then. But I needed something that I could do on my own. And as your sister, everyone else out there might not know, but we come from a restaurateur background. Our father had a banquet hall and a restaurant all of our lives. And so I did have that background, but I never, ever fathomed the thought of opening my own coffee house. And I remember when I approached our parents with it, my dad, the first thing he said is, why would you want to do that? You have a good job. And he was kind of like, he wasn't really buying it. And I think that gave me the push to do it even more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember saying, it's not going to be like your banquet hall. I'm not going to work until 2:00 in the morning. It's not going to be late hours. It's just going to be a coffee house. There's not going to be any kitchen. And I was very naive, and I'm the perfect example of ignorance is bliss, because I didn't know what I was truly getting into. And at that point, I didn't really care. So I just thought I'd do it. And everything's been a learning experience since then.
So what were some of the doubts that you had? Like when you said, I'm going to buy a building, after you made that decision and you probably put the down payment on the building, what were some of the doubts that you were like, what were the little voices saying to you after that happened? Like, did you have buyer's remorse? Were you like, oh no, this is going to be awesome? Like, what was going on in your head at that time?
Well, at the closing, I'll never forget, because mind you, again, I was 28. I was doing the closing. I didn't have anyone with me. I think our cousin Santo actually was my lawyer on that. I'm pretty sure. So he was with me, but I had to sign like 100, when you close on a condo or a house, you have to sign all these papers. And I just remember that anxiety. That was the first onset of, I can't believe I'm actually going to do this. And, it was all fear-based. I was afraid of taking that next step. Okay, now I have the building. I have to do this. I have to see through.
Right. So it was almost like you were forgetting the how. You were just taking the next best step.
Yes.
Yeah. That's something that, I tell a lot of women that I coach with, that, they all want to know the strategy. And it's like, sometimes you don't know a strategy. Sometimes you just got to go with the gut, right? So it sounds like you went from your gut, like when you saw that building, like, oh my God, I could do something with this.
Right.
Internally, that was talking to you, that you couldn't really figure out what it was going to look like at the end, but that you knew that there was something there.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So okay, I love to ask entrepreneurs, like, their mindset. Like, what were the beliefs that you had to have to overcome, like, this fear that you just talked about?
To overcome it?
Yep.
Honestly, I think that I was so in a zone of, I can't let this fail. I have to see through. I can't let this fail. I just have to take the next step. I'm already in. I have to foresee, the future. And
that's
I was doing it day by day, but I don't know if that's an answer to your question.
No, that is. So tell me, what is one thing that you absolutely love about being an entrepreneur?
Well, there's no dress code, no pantyhose, and no high heels for me. Thank God. Not to bash that, but I have no idea how women do that every day. So that's a big bonus. No dress code.
Okay.
No performance reviews. I hear people talk about performance reviews. So none of that. And I love the thought of that I created something out of nothing. That's a really big thing. And I think that the people I meet at the coffee house, I've had more personal growth here, working at the coffee house behind the bar and getting to know people. That I really value that. I love, like, I don't think I'd be friends with half the people I'm friends with because we're from such different walks of life. So I think it exposes me to a lot of different personalities, which is not always pleasant, but for the most part, it opens my mind up. Yeah, right.
Community.
It gives me a much more open mind, not in a box. So I love that part of it, just hearing different people's stories. And
that's one thing I do want to interject and say I don't know if we mentioned the name of it. It's Sip Coffee House. It's in downtown Chicago on the near west side. And it really, truly is a community feeling. Like when you go in there, everyone kind of knows each other. They know each other's it's just a very warm and inviting place to be. It really is. And you've done a really good job at creating that community feel. So,
well, thanks, because I'm the absolute worst self-promoter in the world. As you know, I'm not an avid Facebook user. I just started using Instagram a couple years ago. And I never, ever say I own a coffee house. I don't know why. I just don't.
We should coach around that. Okay, but one thing I do want to mention is Nancy has brought her artistic flair into the coffee shop. So it's decorated very just like her personality, just very fun and just a lot of things, eye candy to look at in there. And she has this one wall, and I think it's so cool. Every month, tell them about your wall.
Oh, we preview a different artist every month in the back of the coffee house, which we went through a big expansion in 2005. And we had all this wall space. And being, I went to art school and I went to Columbia. I was a graphic designer. So I just figured, you know what? We need to bring something into the shop like that. So we offer our wall space to a different artist every month. We don't take any commission. And we just like to show different art. So it could be a photographer one month, a painter next month. We had a crochet artist one month. It's just a really neat way of allowing artists to show their work, being established artists or still in school.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just one final question for you. Who inspires you? Like, who's been your role model?
Okay, honestly, my mother, which I never tell her, but she has the most patience. Nothing weighs her down. In like 07, 08, when our economy took a dump, and I was going through a really bad time. I was going through a divorce. I had no option. I had to learn patience, and I'm not that great at it still, but she really is a great role model when it comes to that. Like nothing stresses her out. Absolutely nothing. She just goes with it. So her, and of course, our father, who came here from Greece with nothing and, built a really successful business. So that I think that gives me still a push to not fail.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, listen, to all the viewers out there, Sip Coffee House, it's downtown Chicago, 1223 West Grand, right?
Yeah. Is this for the final? Is this it?
Yeah, this is the end. Yeah, this is the end.
Oh, I'd like to say that the person in my 20s that dumped me and made me kind of realize to do something on my own and not be codependent. 15 years later, I'm married to him now.
See that? See what happens?
Yeah. So, yeah, I should thank him.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Wantrepreneur Wednesday via Zoom. not Facebook Live. I will work on that. And if you are in the downtown area, really, truly forget the Starbucks. Go to Sip Coffeehouse. It serves intelligentsia, which is an awesome grade of coffee. And the staff is super, super awesome, really friendly. It's just a really nice community. So check it out.
Thanks,
Have
Kat.
a great day. Thank you.